I just felt it getting harder and harder and harder to breathe. And I remember thinking to myself, like, oh my God. Last year, I found myself positive for COVID-19, me along with everyone in my household at the time. I do battle with underlying health conditions. The first couple of days of having the COVID symptoms, I just thought to myself, like, okay, it's just bronchitis. Now, the symptoms that I felt were sore throat, shortness of breath, and just like coughing up like phlegm, you know what I mean? And those are the same symptoms as bronchitis. So I was just like, you know what, I got bronchitis again. I need to get the medicine that I'm used to getting for it, and I'll be fine. It's funny because I was like in such denial, and everyone around me was just kind of like, girl, you got COVID. So a couple days later, it took like literally 3 days later, someone in my household actually tested positive for COVID, and I was around them, so I just knew, okay, maybe I do have COVID. Like, once when they tested positive, I was like, dang, okay. And it's crazy because the day they tested positive and the day I found out, I just felt so sick. Like, it just all came down, and I was just like so tired, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna lay in the bed today. Like, I all of a sudden didn't feel the need to do anything. Like, I was just so tired. So I got in the bed, and I was in that bed for the next couple weeks. It's not funny, but I was in that bed for the next couple weeks. So anyways, I'm laying down in the bed. I'm like, okay, now I need to go get tested. The next day, y'all, the next morning, I felt horrible. Like, I felt like I had just got hit by a bus. Like, my body was sore. Like, everything was sore. You know, I had the body aches. I had chills. I was so cold. Yeah, I was getting a fever. My throat was sore. I was coughing. I had the worst headache. And I just literally just felt like I got hit by a bus. So even going to the testing site was like a journey. Like, it was, I was struggling. It's like, COVID is something where you will feel horrible 1 hour, and the next hour you feel fine. That's how I felt. Like, when I was in the car at the testing site, I felt horrible, like, when I first got there. But then, like, the next hour, like, when I got out of the testing site, I felt like good again. Like, I felt like I could go for a walk. I felt like I could do all of these things. Like, I still felt sick, but I felt stronger. So that was another thing that really, like, made me be in denial at first. I mean, so anyways, that first day was so horrible. I got tested, but I kind of knew. I lied. I actually was still in denial. I was still convinced that it was just bronchitis, because mind y'all, literally the month before I got bronchitis and I got tested for COVID and I was negative. So this time I'm like, it's just, I got bronchitis again. Like, I was just in denial, like, no, I don't have it. And like I said, everyone else around me was like, that night that I came from the testing site, I was probably one of the worst nights I ever had. And this is the part that kind of gets me, like, emotional, because I was so scared. That night was when I had got a fever. Like, I literally had a fever. Like, I didn't feel like I had a fever. I had the fever. And I remember just laying in the bed at like midnight, really crying, because I literally felt my lungs like fill up. Like, I literally felt them fill up. I just felt it getting harder and harder and harder to breathe. And I remember thinking to myself, like, oh my God, I really like might die. Like, I felt like I was gonna die. Over 200 million people have died from this very same disease that is in my body from across the world. People are dying more and more every day from this disease in the United States alone. And so all of those thoughts are going through my head, and you know, I'm literally can't breathe. I can't even lay down, and I just feel my lungs filling up, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I really might be done. Like this might take me out. I remember just praying to God, like praying and just having that faith, like that it'll get better. But that was probably one of the worst nights ever. I was cold. I had the worst headache. I was cold, yet I was sweating, and I just genuinely felt like I couldn't breathe. Like I turned on my side and everything, and that was like probably the most scariest part. Honestly, it was just a day by day. Like the worst part about having COVID and battling COVID is the fact that no one really knows anything about this disease. Even the doctors didn't know everything, like, and they still don't know everything. Still, this disease impacts people differently. There have been so many people around me who've had this disease, who've had COVID, and they have, you know, a wide range of symptoms. Like, not everyone is the same. And so that for me was the hardest part, like not having answers. Like you have this thing that's invading your body and you feel horrible, like you feel horrible, but you don't have answers to get better. To say that I got stronger by the day is kind of complicated because I got stronger, but like there were literally new symptoms every day. I would literally get a new symptom every day, like, okay, I may not be aching anymore, but like I have like my nose is stuffy, or like it was so weird because it was on like day like 5 or something that like my nose was like tingling. Like my nose was like tingling, like it was like a tingling sensation like in my head, in my nose, and that was like probably the worst because it was just annoying, you know. It was very important to me to like get up. Now it was one of the hardest things, like, and there's a healthy balance between pushing your body and like allowing it to rest. So like obviously I wouldn't leave the house, but like I would, you know, just make sure I walk. Now mind you, everyone in my house has COVID, so it was really weird because we isolated ourselves, but like we all had COVID, so it was weird. Like we isolated ourselves just because whatever, I don't know why we did it, but like we still all had COVID, so it was like, I'm nervous, but I'm not. You know what I mean? Because I already have what you're dealing with, but we still isolate ourselves. So, you know, in order to even talk to, like, my parents, like, it was through FaceTime. Like, you know, it was such a weird time. It was so weird. But regardless, you know, everyone in the house had COVID, so I would get up, and even if it was, like, getting up to go get food, or, you know, trying to do yoga, like a breathing yoga, like the lowest form of yoga I can do, I would try to do just so I'm up, making up my bed, cleaning my room, you know, spraying everything, like just so that I'm up and not just laying down and allowing COVID to get on top of me. I'm laughing to keep from crying. Like my biggest thing throughout the whole experience was just to not go to the hospital. Like, as you guys know, now is not the time to be in the hospital. Now is not the time to be at the quick care. Now is just not the time to be sick at all because the hospitals are overwhelmed, the nurses are overwhelmed, and if we're being honest, you know, there is a such thing as medical racism, and I, as you can tell, am both black and woman. So as being a woman wasn't bad enough, I'm also black. And so I didn't really feel like dealing with any type of medical racism or prejudice, or, you know, the nurses just not believing me, or me having to like fight for some medicine, like literally, you know, and put out this energy that I've never had. The main issue that I have been having to deal with when it comes to COVID is the long-term effects that I have. Now, obviously, like I said before, like COVID affects people in different ways, so not everyone has long-term lingering effects, and some people do, and some people have bad, like really, really, really harsh ones, and some people have really mild to moderate ones. Thankfully, the rest of my family didn't have those lingering effects, but I do. When I tell you it has been months since I've had COVID, and I'm still trying to get my lung capacity up. Like, if I walk up the stairs, my heart rate beats so fast and I just like can't breathe. Like it's a struggle to breathe. Like sometimes I have to lay on my side in order to get my lungs stronger. Thankfully, you know, I did go to the doctor, and my doctor said that lungs can get stronger. Like with the amount of workout, you know, your lungs can get stronger. So that's what I'm on right now. I'm just trying to work on that. Another symptom that I'm still dealing with is muscle twitching. Like the virus like interrupted my nervous system, and literally each day, like there has not been a day where I don't get muscle twitching. And so I'll try to put a video up, but like it'll be like in my legs, like it'll be a random like like in my legs. Like obviously it doesn't have a sound effect, but like you feel like your nerves like twitch. Like it'll be in my legs, it'll be in my hamstrings, it'll be in my face, like literally everywhere, and it's a daily thing. Anyways, I didn't do this video to gain sympathy. That's one of the reasons why I was a little hesitant to let it out in the first place, but or even make the video in the first place. But I didn't do this video for sympathy. I just really did this video because I want to spread awareness and advocate for those who did catch COVID. I think one of the hardest parts of COVID for me was just the mental strain and the mental challenge that came along with it. And it was super hard, like being in my bed, laying down, like not knowing how this may impact me, because it impacts people differently. Like not knowing if, you know, I'm gonna end up in the emergency room the next morning, like not knowing any of those things. And like scrolling on my Instagram and seeing people like party. Like I literally had to take an Instagram like break because it was like a slap in the face. Like I'm literally laying here in my deathbed and people are like partying carelessly. So don't get me wrong, I don't think, you know, I'm not here to judge, you know, because honestly I love a good party as much as the next one. I'm literally overdue. Like I want to party so bad. Like I miss going out. I love socializing with people. Like I love it, and I have major FOMO. You take things for granted when it doesn't happen to you or happen to anyone close to you. It wasn't, and even I could say like COVID didn't become real until I got it and until the people I loved got it. So I say all that to say, you know, people are still out here dying. We just all have to be sure to just stay responsible, and, you know, you never think it can happen to you until it happens to you. So just be careful, tread lightly, and yeah. Okay guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed listening to my experience, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to be a part of the journey. Bye!